Dear classmate, we'll continue chapter number 5, that is endocrine system in adolescence. Today we'll do adolescence in this session, okay, adolescence, which we discussed also in chapter number 3, alright. So adolescence, as you all know, that the period between 10 to 19 years of age in an individual's life. Alright, so we have different periods of life, okay, childhood we have, then we have adulthood. The time period between this childhood and adulthood, which actually begins from 10 years of your age and last up to 19 years of your age, okay, is your adolescence. Okay, so that means the period between 10 to 19 years of age in an individual's life is the adolescence. All right, so in this period of our life, there we find lot of changes, okay, in our behavior, okay, emotional changes, physical changes, okay. So all those changes we see in this period of life, okay, which are all brought on by the different hormones secreted from the different endocrine glands. All right, see here. Second point, we have the body undergoes development leading to reproductive maturity. That means what happens that the body especially undergoes development leading to reproductive maturity. That means when we were born, so at that time itself our reproductive systems were present, okay. So not in our case, but whenever a baby is born, so that time itself the reproductive system is present, but that time the reproductive system is not active, okay, is not active. But once a child or a person, completes the age of 10 and enters the other phase of life, then what happens is that the reproductive system starts maturing, okay, it starts developing. Then what happens, the testes in case of male start producing sperms, and whereas in female the ovaries start producing ova or eggs. Then they are ready to reproduce, okay, they are ready to reproduce now, okay. Then the other third point that I have jotted down here is a transitional stage between childhood and adulthood. That means I already told you, that time when you are in adolescence, you are neither a child nor an adult, okay, nor an adult. So the gap between these two, what you call your time periods, that is childhood and the adulthood, is your adolescence, okay, as I told you, which begins from 10 years of your age to 19 years of your age, okay. So this is your transitional stage between childhood and adulthood, okay. Then fourth point that I have taken here is the word adolescence is derived from the Latin word adolescent, okay, adolescent, which means to grow into maturity. That means now you are growing into maturity now, okay, you are growing into maturity. Once you are towards the end of this period, called adolescence, okay, then you are completely matured, okay, you are able to decide the things, you can take the decisions on your own. All right, so you are fully, what you call, you're matured now, you're matured. Then you are now entering into the early adulthood, okay, your early adulthood now, okay, soon after the completion of this adolescence. That means once you complete the age of 19 years, then you will be entering into the early adulthood. All right, so these are the general idea about adolescence. Now let us talk about the physical changes that you see in adolescence, physical changes. All right. Now Now we'll see physical changes. Physical changes in adolescence. So what are the conspicuous changes that you can see during this period of life, that is adolescence? Okay, number one we have increase in height. Increase in height. A very conspicuous, which is very clearly seen, which is obvious to all, is increase in height. So we grow up in height. All right. So once you are in adolescence, that time the bones of the limbs, your hind limbs and hind limbs and forelimbs, that means the bones of your hands, the bones of your legs elongate. Okay, and persons become very tall. Okay, that means you achieve the maximum height during this period of time. So you grow in height, number one. All right, and what changes, what difference we see between the girls and boys as far as the height is concerned is that during the early adolescence, in case of female, we see the growth taking faster than the growth in male. But towards the end of this period called adolescence, the boys attain the maximum height, which means the boys become taller than the girls. Okay, number one point. Number two, change in body shape. Change in body shape. Next, physical change that you see in the human beings or in the individuals during this adolescence is this change in body shape. Okay, the body becomes different in this particular period of time. All right, so boys generally have larger bones and more muscles. Okay, boys have larger bones, more muscles. Okay, see, change in body shape. So boys have larger bones, more muscles. Right, then this is compared to the girls. Boys have larger bones, more muscles, and boys have broader shoulders. This shoulders are broader compared to the girls. All right, whereas on the other side the girls have got curvaceous body, curve shape. Okay, curve shape body they have got, and the hips are broader, whereas in case of male the hips are narrow, but in case of girls the hips are broad. All right, that is the change as far as the shape of the human beings are concerned during adolescence. Okay, number three, what you see is number three, change in voice. Change in voice. Change in voice. Change in voice. So once you are in adolescence, your voice will be completely changed. Slowly and slowly you can make out. You just see your friends, you just imagine how they were there before they attain this age, when they were 9, when they were 10. So that time what kind of voice they had. But once they attain the age of 11 and onwards, like 12, 13, certain changes are seen even in their voice, because that time the larynx out here, what you call it, your larynx means your out here voice box. Okay, your voice box out here, that begins to grow. Boys have larger voice box out here. Boys have got larger voice box out here, so that their voice are coarse. Okay, the voice are coarse, and also what you call coarse, heavy. All right, that kind of voice they have got. And boys, in case of boys out here, you see this is in the throat region, you see a part protruding out. Okay, a part protruding out which is called Adam's apple. So that also you see in case of male during adolescence, which is not seen in the female or in the girls. All right, and the girls have got a high pitched voice. Girls have got boys have coarse voice, whereas the girls have high pitched voice. Okay, girls have high pitched voice. All right, and in case of boys, we see the voice become hoarse voice they have got. Okay, voice they have sudden change can be seen in the voice of the boys, which is hoarse type voice. All right, and this hoarse type voice will not last for long. After some days, after some week, it will again be of the original types that will be temporarily occurring in them. So worse voice there in voice, but slowly again it will be changed back to the original voice. Okay, so this sudden change sometimes we see even in the voice during this adolescence. The other one is your fourth one we have increased activity of sweat gland N. Okay, let me write it here. Increased activity of sweat gland and sebaceous gland. See here. So once you are in adolescence, your sweat gland, the gland which is responsible for the secretion of sweat, and also sebaceous gland. Sebaceous gland means glands responsible for secreting the oils in the body. Okay, become very active. Okay, become very active, which means your sweat gland produce lot of sweat and your sebaceous gland produce lot of oil during this period of time. That means during this adolescence. So that the persons during this age have lot of skin problem like acne, pimples are seen on their faces. Why? Because they have lot of sweat on their body, lot of oil on their body, on their face, like that. And this oil especially is very rich in protein, which invites bacteria. So if you don't clean it properly, then bacteria will invade there and cause such problem called acne, pimples, like that. So that problem is usually seen in adolescence. Why? Because these sweat glands and sebaceous glands are very active as far as their secretion is concerned, as far as the rate of the secretion is concerned. All right, so these are the changes, physical changes that we see during this adolescence, and all these changes are brought on under the influence of the hormones secreted from the different endocrine glands. So these are the physical changes. Development of sexual and secondary sexual characters during adolescence. That means what are the sexual and secondary sexual characters we see during adolescence. Let's talk about it first. So once you are in adolescence, your reproductive systems become very active. Okay, it starts maturing, which we had discussed in the introductory portion of this adolescence, or in this session itself. So they start growing and they start developing very fast, and they start maturing. They start functioning there now. They start becoming very active. Okay, so testes start producing sperms. Okay, in male, whereas in female, ovaries start producing ova or egg. It is in female. All right, so they are very active now. They start producing these things, which means now a person is ready to ready to reproduce now. Okay, a person is now ready to reproduce. Once this system, your reproductive system is functioning very actively, means he or she is now ready to reproduce. So that particular age, that particular time period of this adolescence is called puberty. Is called what? Puberty. Is called puberty. P-U-B-E-R-T-Y, puberty. Okay, when a person is ready to reproduce, which is called puberty. So this puberty is brought on by some hormones. Okay, brought on by some hormones which are called sex hormones. Which are called what? Sex hormones. Sex hormones. Alright? Sex hormones. So in male, in case of male, which sex hormone actually is there? That is your androgens. Androgens are the male sex hormones. Okay, androgens. Mainly, here we find mainly your testosterone. Testosterone. Okay, testosterone. So mainly, what is there? Testosterone. T-E-R-O-N-E. Mainly testosterone. Okay. Then in case of female, in female, what is there? In female, estrogen. Estrogen. See, O-E-S-T-R-O-G-N-S. Estrogen. That is female sex hormone. Alright. So these are the hormones which influence these organs to do their works. That means testes to produce sperms and ovaries to produce ova or egg. And these hormones, sex hormones called androgens and estrogens are further stimulated by gonadotropic hormone. Gonadotropic hormone. Gonadotropic hormone. Okay, gonadotropic hormone, which is also called GTH, gonadotropic hormone. So this gonadotropic hormone is secreted by a pituitary gland there in the brain, which we have discussed last time also. So that hormone, influence these regions to produce these respective sex hormones, androgens and estrogens in male and female respectively. Alright, so these are the sexual characters that you see in the human beings during adolescence. Alright, besides this, there we can even see the secondary sexual characters. Secondary sexual characters are also seen during adolescence. Okay, so secondary sexual characters during adolescence are like this, like in boys. In case of boys, boys break. Okay, what happens? Boys break. Then your hair start growing on the legs. In the legs regions, you see the hairs growing. All right. Even the hairs you see growing in the chest region, and also on the face, especially the mustache, beard, you can see in case of boys during adolescence. All right. And in case of female, what you can see is that you see the breast, start developing. All right. The shape of the body becomes curvaceous, curve-shaped body. The body becomes curve-shaped during adolescence in case of female. All right. So these are the secondary sexual characters in the human beings during adolescence. All right. And during this time when they are in adolescence, that time, and when all those sexual and secondary sexual characters are developed, then that time they are attracted to the opposite sex. So that kind of character automatically develops in the human beings during adolescence. All right, so that is all about adolescence, and we conclude this session in this topic itself today. So in the next class, we'll continue the other portion of this chapter. Thank you very much.